Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Reimagine. I'm Deborah Epstein, and I am the facilitator of this podcast. And I'm with Jamie Magee, who is an amazing astrologer. She is on Substack, and she has the Southern Mystic. And I'm just want to welcome everyone as you're joining in. Welcome, Jamie. Thank you so much for joining me today on the very first live of Reimagine because I was doing recorded stuff. So things in my world are reimagining. So
Gosh, wow, I'm honored to be on the first one. That's awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations.
it's just yeah, thank you. And I'm just like so happy to be talking with you. Just for a little context, I have been following Jamie for a while. I can't remember how many years, but for a while and just did a reading finally this February. And I was so like, I knew it was going to be awesome because she seems to be so awesome in all the things that she writes, and she's always very spot on with her. I don't. Are they predictions or just what
Yeah,
you
I
you
think
want to
I
call
think
them predictions?
I let you know what the weather is and you can
Yeah, yeah,
have
yeah. And then
foods
you
with it.
decide.
Yeah, you decide how to work with it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and then my husband got a reading with her too, and it really just helped us kind of get the information we needed. I'm in my Saturn return. I was like, "What the heck is that? I've not really heard about it." So it was just an amazing amount of information, and being able to have that information and then start putting it to work in my life has been like quite amazing. And we didn't really talk about that before in our little pre-interview, but I just like as feedback, like it was your reading was super helpful. And so I thought like, "Hey, I'm like changing my Substack around and doing this and that. Let's do this and let's see if you want to join us." And, just kind of like, we're going to talk a little bit about healing and like the planetary alignments, where we are like right now today. And so without any further ado, I'll just let you kind of take it away and we'll just kind of banter back and forth if that's cool.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here with all of you. And I love um I just love talking about astrology because I think that sometimes it has a lot of misconceptions. I'm also an author, so I've always had astrology in my life. But when I had my first Saturn return, I think Deborah, you're their second, if I remember, or getting close to your second. When I had my first one,
Mhm.
that's when I became an author, and I've over 20 books. But those books were written with astrology like in the background. I think back then vampire books were popular, and I was like, why don't we write about someone's actual superpower? And so I kind of weave that in. And then as I when you if any of you are out there, I'm sure if you're on Substack, you probably either like writers or are a writer. I was doing deeper and deeper research, and I kind of like ended up bridging all of that whole lifetime of astrology into more academic astrology. Did that for a while, and then and now doing more consultations and like you said, predictive work, but more so, where are you and what is your superpower? I guess is a good way to put that. Like, what energy did you come in with, and how is that being activated now? And sometimes that happens with one to one, and sometimes it happens with just reports or following along, like Deborah did for a long time. Because I have these little calendars, I have my notes in them, and I have a podcast that says, "Hey, this is the weather right now." And in those podcasts, if I told you that it was thunderstorming, and you're like, "I'm still gonna go get a suntan," then that's your free will. You go get a suntan, and you can try get a suntan in a thunderstorm, or you could, sit on the porch and watch it. So that's my objective is just to kind of help people understand that they're on purpose, they're on time, and they have every tool that they already need, whether it feels like it or not, as they're working with any concept in their life, whether it is a feast or famine, a hard time or an easy time. You've got all you
Mhm.
need.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about today, what's important about today in the sky.
Okay, yeah. So today we have the sun moving into Gemini. So happy birthday to all the Geminis out there. And if you have a Gemini rising, definitely happy birthday to you. But the sun is one of the things in astrology that a lot, at least like Western astrology, that a lot of people identify with. They'll say, this is my sign or that is my sign. But it doesn't matter if you're a Gemini or not. Right now, today, the sun just moved into a new area of your chart, which makes that area of your life more illuminated. So, say it was in your third house, talking, doing podcast interviews, writing, thinking about things. This time of year, when the sun's in Gemini, you just feel alive with that energy. You're ready to move forward with it. So there's definitely a part of your life right now that has the sun that's breathing light into it. And that it's going to be even more interesting with this energy because we had a big outer planet, Uranus, just move into Gemini not too long ago. So this week, those two are going to collide. So I would imagine that a lot of you right now are getting some kind of downloads or epiphanies, or you're seeing something outside of the realm that you normally see it in, because that Uranus energy kind of turns things upside down. And the sun and Mercury asks us to understand a duality, to see two sides of the same coin. Like that old adage where all the blind men are feeling the elephant, and some are like, no, it's this long tail. No, it's this. And it's all the same animal. It allows you to see that it is the same animal when you're in Gemini. So, um, I would say, like, and I think if you're a follower of me, I've already kind of mentioned this 1,000 times. This is a good time to definitely take care of your nervous system because that's like that Uranus energy, Gemini energy. It's a live wire, and whatever you're consuming is multiplying, and you feel that in your nervous system, and that equates to a lot of things. I don't have to tell you that, Deborah, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's to
Yeah, and
say.
that's where I see that this really helps with healing or staying healthy because a lot of, we live in a world right now that our nervous systems are always going off, right? For all the things going on out there. And we don't always know like how to manage that, how to take care of it. And can you speak into a little bit about how, astrology can help us either manage it or maybe manage isn't the right word, but gain a deeper understanding of
Yeah.
how energies affect us?
Yeah, I think one of the words I like to use is co-create, and also like it
Mm,
gives you self-awareness. So there's a lot of different layers to astrology, and even inside of Western astrology, there's a lot of different angles that astrologers would look at things. There's Western astrology, there's esoteric astrology, but at the core basis of it, the moment that you were born, that you took your first breath, that latitude and longitude, that chart that you have will not be repeated for over 4 million years. And that alone helps you say that, I'm on purpose and I'm on time. Even twins have different charts. A lot of things are similar, yes. And that's where we start to see fate and free will. But when you take a look at your one of a kind charts and you start to and I mean, there's a lot of ways that you could do this on your own, like kind of go through those cookbook astrologies or the kind of, we all have AIs out there kind of diving into some of those things. I would always tell you to use discernment and go a little deeper with that. Maybe work with someone if you're super curious, because you'll find when you first started reading your chart, it'll say something really positive about your Venus and say Cancer, but it may say something really negative about your Jupiter in Virgo. And you're like, well, is it good or bad? like which way am I going with this energy? But when we look at the entire chart, we'll be able to see your strengths and we'll also be able to see your challenges. And each house of the chart gives us a place in our lives. The first house is me. Like this is my body. This is what I look like. This is how I present myself to you. And the second house is what I value, and it moves forward. And we were talking about health all the way to the six. The six are the rituals that you do day in and day out, whether they're conscious or unconscious. So the first is your body, and the six is the health of your body. And if you know those houses, you understand the archetypes behind the signs, and then where the rulers of those planets are in your chart. And that gets a little technical there. Then
mhm,
you'll understand. Hey, this is my tendency. I crave this, but this is how my body works, or vice versa. And you also understand, like I think I was telling Deborah backstage, I have a lot of fire and water in my chart, but that sixth house is earth. So my mind and I want to move fast when I'm doing things. If I'm consuming food or drinking, like I'm not even paying attention. I'm going to send 10 emails. I'm going to do all this stuff. But my digestion, my body moves at its own pace. And so when we crisscross those things, then it kind of doesn't work well. But if I have that awareness, then I know I need to turn everything off. I need to be present, and things that I could do at my 20 years old, whatever, I can't do now. And I have to think about who I am in this situation. So that natal chart is like it's just this golden, nothing trumps the natal chart. But then what also happens is like right now in the sky, the planets are transiting around. So they're activating things that are dormant are things that are already stimulated in your chart. So sometimes in your life you're thinking, I never had a problem here, but now all of a sudden I'm getting these life lessons. That could be Saturn transiting through a house that doesn't have any planets in it, but it is talking to that area of your life. Or maybe I've never really had any luck here, but all of a sudden this works out. And honestly, like every 10 years or so, it works out. And that's Jupiter stepping into that house. Like there's a lot of different tendencies. And those are the more like those planets move a little bit slower, but on a day-to-day basis, knowing where the moon is, knowing where the sun is, things like that, or because if you think about the planets as a royal court, the sun always travels with Mercury, how you think, Venus with how you feel, and then the moon kind of goes around within 30 days. But if you have your heart and your mind and your vitality, the sun, they're always within 17 degrees moving throughout the chart. If you know where those are and you stay in rhythm with the cosmos, then that tells you that, okay, this is going to be challenging. Like personally, I love it when the moon's in Virgo, not just because Virgo is detail oriented, etc., but I love it because it's in my 10th house and I can get a month's worth of work done in 2 days. Where if I try to do it in a different sign, I'm going to be lucky to answer your email. Like, because I'm the moon's just not going to be working for me. But I hope I answered that. I didn't go all over the place.
Oh, it's interesting because, like I said earlier, we could talk and talk and talk about this because the things that interest me about this too, you mentioned archetypes, and I've done work with Carolyn Mace, and she talks about like and it's almost like in the same sense of astrology, we kind of come in with this set of archetypes that we're here to kind of play through.
Yeah.
So let's say like, oh, I have like, well, I do. I have the healer archetype, but then I really want to be an actor, but I can't animate that because I
Right.
don't. It's not why I came in, and I wonder, how much of our pain and suffering, like that we go through, trying to do something that we think we should be doing. We think it's our purpose. We seem drawn to it for some reason,
Yeah.
but for whatever the reason, we just can't seem to get that off the ground. I guess my question is kind of around, like, how does that play itself out in the
Yeah.
cosmos?
So it's there's a lot of different ways it can play out, but in Western astrology, if I were to pull up your chart, and I have a chart like this, and a lot of the planets were above the horizon, then that's sort of like you not in a egotistical way, but you almost need outward validation. You need someone to say, yeah, like do it that way, do it this way. Like you're looking around at society to see what society likes or dislikes at that time of your birth and the time that you're living in. Like I was born across like at the end of one generation into the beginning of the next one, and I've watched this whole other generation what well, yeah, you get what I'm saying there. So, sometimes
Mhm,
it's not it's you're looking out instead of within. And some
mm,
people's chart are naturally set up that way. Like but then if you see someone who has all their planets at the bottom of the chart, they don't give a flip if you like what they're doing or not. And ironically, those end up being usually our influencers or people that the people on the other side are looking to follow. But that's not a one and done kind of deal. That's just one thing like in your chart
mhm,
wherever your sun is and wherever your Leo house is, that's something that you naturally shine in. And if you find yourself like, oh, I'd really like to do that, like that's where you would want to do a little bit of reflective work. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to sing? Do you like to sing in the shower or do you just feel like the spirit moves through you and you can sing? Like,
mhm,
are you looking for the accolades to feed your ego or are you looking for the accolades to feel it feed your spirit? Do you like, I want to sing to heal someone, to help someone? And that definitely changes the dynamic, but with every archetype and every part of your chart, there's a shadow and there's a light and there's some place in the middle, and, like, there's no way to
mhm.
get rid of one or the other because if you're in the light, that eventually yeah, everything shifts. So, I think when
Yeah,
you that's a great thing about natal astrology, like and what I mean by natal astrology is if you just did nothing but studied your own personal chart or, like, looked deeply into your personal chart, it gives you validation and permission to be who you are. It'd be like that's not my rodeo. But for some people, sorry, I'm in the South. That's not my horse to ride. But um, for some people, like I have a late degree ascendant. So depending on the house system, my sun is either in the 12th house or it's in the first house. So a 12th house sun wants to write, it wants to escape, it needs that spiritual work, it needs to be alone, it doesn't want to go out and show anything. Like it's fine. But that first house, it has to share its work. Like, so that really I didn't understand what that was. Like, when I was trying to figure out college and, like, college applications, I could imagine every career that they had, but nowhere did it say a professional daydreamer, AKA writer. So I couldn't I didn't figure that out, but a writer goes into this very deep spiritual place and pulls
mhm,
something through them and creates it where only them and their creator even knows it exists, and then they have to take it out into the world and share it in a new way. Now, that's an author example, but any like script writers, or if you were in the medical field and you're working on this healing practice, or if you're working with anything, there's something that you do within on your own and then you bring it out. And the natal chart will help you understand what that is. Because if you try to go out before you go in, then that's where you're gonna be dancing with the shadow a lot. And the universe doesn't really care how many times you course correct. Like it's here for it. Like if you want to go that way, it's fine. We'll course correct. Then you'll learn the lesson this way or that way. And however you learn it, it's definitely gonna it's medicine for your soul, and I think the people that have, and I say people, everybody, every human being that's ever had a hard time, it's usually the ego balance. Like they're trying to understand, okay, my world wants this. This is coveted. If I get on Substack and I have this many subscribers, if I'm up here and if I put something up, then that's coveted in our generation. But is it though? You know what I mean? How authentic? I think Substack's probably different than most social media, but how authentic are you being? How are you being
Right.
remembered? You know, and things like that. Like there's a lot of different ways to look at your chart. Some people would have more of a natural tendency to wanna be step outside of who they are, and some people would,
Mm.
like, never, ever do that, and at times, they're gonna be requested to do both. They're gonna be like the transits, which are temporary, are going to activate situations that they're gonna respond to, either from the ego level or a soul level, and that's gonna impact every field of their body, and, like, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, they're gonna be working with however they interact with that, where they're like, "Okay, it's time." Like fixed signs, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, they use a lot of discernment when they put things together in their life. So when the universe comes along and says, "No, you can't do this," and they're like, I'm going to do this, and they hold it really tight, then they have a lot of frustration and a lot of problems in their life. But if they hold it with an open palm and are more curious about why this is leaving, and definitely honor the ending and the beginning the way that they would want to honor that ending and beginning if it were happening to them, because it will
Mhm.
happen to them. The table will reverse. What you put out does come back. Then they find more balance. Does that mean that they escape grief or pain or any kind of need for healing? No, it just means they have a different perspective, and they're working with their energy in a different way. And there's times in our life that we're really good at that, and there's times we're really bad at that. But
Yeah.
it's our own story to tell.
Yeah, it's so fascinating too, because especially given in the environment that we're in right now. I mean, we're on Substack and we're talking about Substack, and just when I, like, put this live out there, scheduled it, and it went out to everybody, I started getting, like, people interested in it, and then right away I get an email. Well, someone subscribed, someone looked at my back end, and then someone, sent me an email saying like, "Oh, I can help you do X, Y, or Z." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's interesting," like, because my come from isn't to get as many subscribers as I can, or, I don't really care about the numbers too much. I'm more interested in the work I'm here to do, and this just happens to be what's available to me to bring it out into the world. Do I get frustrated sometimes when I put something really awesome out there and nobody seems to see it? Yeah, but I also, like, I've been, doing this, pretty long, and I've had lots of followers, and I've had a big email list and all of the things. And what I've learned through that is that it takes a lot to manage all of that. It takes a lot for that. It takes a lot of energy to grow that. And what I really is the one-to-one call.
Yes.
I love being in communion with someone, doing deep healing work with someone versus, like, sending it out to the masses. So I've learned to be okay with that. And I think there's something in that, like, finding out who you are, what you're here to do, what you're good at, like what your archetypes are, where your planets are at, and then really finding your authentic voice in all of that and letting that be okay. Like, you're not going to do it like everybody else, and getting out of the expectation that we all have to have millions of subscribers in order to, you know, make it in the world, you know?
And that really kinda speaks to the environment that we live in now, and I joke with my adult children now all the time. I'm like, "There was a time when I left the house without a phone, and I just said, 'I'll see you at this time.'" I like truly, but now, like, they can track you, and they know exactly where you are and et cetera. So, I think it's just coveted in our time, but I also think that that is turning a little bit, and a lot of that has to do with where some of the outer planets are working. So, the outer planets in your personal chart, in the natal chart, but also, like, when we look at them, like, for what's happening today, they kinda tell us what the collective mindset, it gives us a different environment to shift in, to sit inside of. So if it's coveted, then everyone wants to do it. But I think that our perception of what that is changing because I'm relatively new to this platform, but I love it when I see people that say, I think I saw someone the other day on my stream that said, I'm here because I couldn't solidify what I do in 8 seconds. I'm like, basically, I'm selling my soul in 8-second reels. I was like, man, like, I can't and I never could. And I think you know that, like, when you get out there and try to do something differently, it doesn't work. But I've also found, and Deborah, you're just one of several of my clients that have that perspective. But I have a very, very successful client, and like there's zero advertising, zero social media. It's word of mouth. And what she's done is some of the marketing things. She's decided this is who I am. And this is the client that I want. And you can see in your chart who your clients are. You can see the type of people that you attract and how you work with them. You can see the ones that are more challenging. That's all in your chart. Everything's in there. But I think that does give you more honor because that's a person, not more honor. It gives you more alignment personally because you're like, this is
Yeah.
who I am. I need to work one on one with people. Can I share some insight that the masses can see and maybe be intrigued? Absolutely. But I always kinda, like, smirk at the universe because 'cause I'm like, "I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now," like, even with all my information, and I'll go and I'll write something, and then, like, my whole calendar will get booked. I'm like, "Okay, so that's what I'm supposed to do right now." And because I have, like, being an author, being a mother, and the family, and my husband like, all kinds of different balls that we juggle. Sometimes we're like, "Am I just supposed to be sitting here and be passive and reading and learning, or am I supposed to be out there, like, sharing what I know, because and there's different times of the year, and there's different years that's gonna change for me. But I think that to speak to your point, it does give you a little bit of authenticity and sovereignty to say, "This is who I am." And
Mhm.
and your people will find you. I mean, and sometimes that goes into manifestation, sometimes it goes into action. Like if you sit there and are just thinking to yourself about your practice, they're not gonna knock on your door. But if you're out there sharing in your vitality, then people will magnetize to you. And definitely knowing your chart um, is powerful, and also knowing your capacity of it too. You know, because you're a lot of people think I have to keep up with that. Like I was watching a show on Netflix. This teenager, it was a very sad show, but basically this teenager's like, I post 6 TikToks a day. I don't know who that is, and I'm not even who I was yesterday. And I'm like, how sad is that? Like you surrender your entire soul to this thing, and
Yeah.
it was mind blowing to me. But I think that to circle back around with my Gemini moon that goes all over the place, I think the outer planets are gonna help us as they move realize what's important and what's not, and what we are
Mhm.
surrendering our power to. Right now we have Pluto and Aquarius. Aquarius is humanity. It's an airplane view looking down. And Pluto's going to show you like what do you give your power to every day? How many and it's interesting if you really watch it, how many people will be around their family, people that they love more than anything, and they have like 2 minutes to think and they pick up their phone and scroll as fast as they can as if the stream is gonna evaporate and not gonna be there in 10 minutes. Their family won't be. They're gonna go to their rooms, they're gonna go home or whatever, and you'll be alone with your phone. It's not going anywhere, but somehow we've rewired ourselves, and I think Uranus and where it is now is gonna give us a different perspective, of how we work with things. There's a lot of different energies working together right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if what we covet changes, and places
Yeah.
like this ground us and bring us back to what matters, helps us say, "Okay, um, that doesn't matter." Like, I remember, in recent years, 'cause, you know, our world is so electrified,
Mhm.
listening to a marketer or marketing thing, and this was, like, high level, but the advice was to feed the anger. Like, I think they call it rage bait or something, so your title had to
Mhm.
have rage in it to get the clicks, to get people to come in, and I was like you, Deborah, in my own way, I was like, "I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I don't care if nobody sees this. I'm doing that. I'm
Eat
not
me
gonna
now.
yeah, I'm not gonna sit out there and provoke more of it. I will provoke a solution, and that's my objective no matter what I'm out here. Because like, even if you meet me, I think you have a hard time knowing in a polarized world where I stand because I'm able to see that I'm able to understand that no one really there's a positives and negatives in both situations. Whatever the situation that you're looking at, and I try to find my my Libra, my Pluto and Libra middle ground. Like, let's find balance here. Let's find
Yeah.
a way to harmonize with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, my philosophy is always like yes and. So it's instead of either or, yes
Yeah,
and then and then where is it for me? It's interesting too because like there's just so much richness in what you're saying. So I'm like, ooh, where do we go? It's like, yeah, kid in a candy store here. But one of the things that popped into my mind was a client that I worked with, and they're really wanting to step into their own their healer. It's not that they can't animate it. There's fear around it and fear around like, will I make money at it? Will I be good enough? Will I be? And so what they're caught in this cycle of learning this trade and learning that and learning that, and having this job they hate to support this or that. Someone like that, how could astrology help them get a little more clarity around direction, around putting themselves out there? Is there like, I mean, you wouldn't know unless you knew their chart, I guess, but like, is there a way to find out, like, is this just what they're meant to do? Like, just circle around it and not really land in it.
Yeah, I think sometimes that like, that's almost a form I definitely looking at their chart, I'd be able to tell a lot, but anytime
Yeah.
I use the word fear or anxiety, we're kinda usually looking at the planet Saturn, and the lower vibration of Saturn is fear and anxiety, and the higher vibration of it is mastery. And sometimes we think if I take one more class, I'll be fine. If I take one more class, I'll have the accreditation for it. But we're living in a society, especially with someone putting out 6 TikToks a day or what have you, not me, that video I watched the other day,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
we are learning, we're teaching as we learn. And so like that hopefully that'll kind of change a little bit because that's where we get so much misinformation and false information out there. But with that, I would look at where Saturn was and really activate like where that the ruler is that and how it's being spoken to now. Because there's times where like say you have Saturn in the ninth house and you have this fear that I'm gonna get out there and I don't have enough accreditation and they're gonna think that I don't know what I'm talking about. Um,
yeah.
that I would look t we would kind of dig into that situation. We'd also look at where the opportunities are now and where the strengths are now. Like, maybe it's not doing it this way, it's doing it that way. And, I remember God, what is her name? Oh my god, she has a huge podcast, and her book is called Let Them. But
Oh, Mel Robbins.
Mel Robbins, yeah, she has this
Yeah.
in that book, Let Them, she has this great, she has someone in that book that she tells a story of that's exactly like what you're talking about, but it had to do with an art dealer or like some kinda interior designer, and she had all this education, all this whatever, but this other person came in and they were literally posting as they were figuring things out, like, "Oh my god, I just figured this out, it looks so great," and the woman was blowing up and she wasn't. And I guess to Mel's credit, what she says is either if you don't do it, someone else is gonna do it. Like, if you don't go out there and if you don't give your medicine, then someone else will. So it's more of again, like you have to turn off the external filters. Like with horses and horse races, they put the filters on. You have to the blinders on. You have to turn off like how it feels to other people. And something that I always coach on is like you whatever you're doing for an audience of one. And that's your
Mhm.
creator. It's you and your creator, no matter what it is, an audience of one. Because if you start thinking about your mother-in-law, your cousin, the people at church, and the people on this platform and that platform, then you've diluted whatever magic that you're trying to come through. Or like as an author, they tell you never to read your reviews, and I back that up 110% because all of a sudden you'll have 100 and something five-star reviews and one person that says something about this character, and all of a sudden they're in your ear as you're writing a new character. You have to like really perform from an audience of one. If someone came to me
Mhm.
with that, again, we would look at where their Saturn is. We'd look at where their objectives are, what was activating it, and then ask, who their audience is, and why we're doing what we're doing. But and again, it could be that they're trying to fit into something that um, they're feeling it's like they have to do this. If they don't do it, if they did it this way, like if the, I would have to be on this platform in order to be successful, and that's not true.
Yeah.
Like if you're an authentic energy, if you have your vibrate, like you will find a way to get to your people. Some of the most successful people that I know don't even have platforms. Like I heard them on a podcast and they're like, I think they're great. And I have to go down some back rabbit hole to find them. And they have this one
Yeah.
little landing page or something, but they're massively popular. So I think it's more like, why are you doing it? And who are you doing it for? But the chart can absolutely tell you what you naturally tend to and what's activated in your life right now. We could definitely look at
Yeah,
that.
and you're making a really good point, and it's, like, the second time you've kinda said it with regards to, like, different things I'm throwing at you, but it's basically around the expression of the thing, like so,
Yeah.
yeah, I have I have a healer archetype and I have a lot of planets that are lining up in healer, but does that like I hate people and I hate, putting my hands on them or whatever, maybe that's the case. But maybe it's asking a different question like, well, how does this want to express through
There you go.
me? And then I hear like, well, that's where the information in the chart can help you.
Yes.
Right? And so, like, I feel like, "Oh, I wanna put all my writing out there," but where is the best place for me to do that? And for me, it's really interesting because I'm a painter, I'm an artist, and I went the route when I was first out of art school of showing my work in galleries and all that kinda stuff, and I hated the atmosphere, I hated the games, I hated all of that kinda stuff. And, I am also really interested in healing and I'm, mystery school and all of the esoteric things. So it was a journey for me of, going in deep into things that interest me that I love while allowing things to flow through me. And now like the way I use art or the way art uses me, however you want to say it, is like I paint what's not seen, basically. I paint from my dreaming. I was always a daydreamer. So it's like when I look back at the arc of my life and I look back at the astrology, I have to laugh because I'm like, I almost couldn't not be on it. So there's almost like the fool's journey through the whole thing too, you
That's
know?
very much true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had the same experience because, like, I was born with Mercury standing still, and then it went into retrograde a couple days later. So we look at other layers of your chart, like secondary progressions, etc. But Mercury went all the way back and went all the way forward again before I became a writer. And then when I became a writer, I looked like that Ace Ventura meme. Like I was like, I mean, it was insane how fast and quickly. And I was just trying to keep up with what I would see. Like I would be in mid conversation and run over and write something down. And it was just a beautiful natural flow. And I never cared if anyone ever read it. Like I would write all day, every day for free. Like it was my passion.
Mhm.
And I was an executive at the same time, like taking care of small kids. And I put that book out. I put one book out, another book out, and that's a whole other weird story because of the way that it accidentally became an indie author. But they were successful enough that I was able to leave my indie career. I mean, leave my executive career and just be a full time author. So right when it stumbled, and it was aligned with the astrology as well. You could see astrology saying, "Okay, we're like karma check, reality check. Look at this." It was when I started listening to other people. Like I remember getting like working with a quote unquote agent. And I say that because there's great agents out there, but this person didn't align with me. But this agent was like, here, write this, not that, because that no one's talking about this yet. She wanted me to chase the crowd. And every time, I mean, I could sit there and craft anything up, but every time I tried to like perform or like step into something that was outside of my chart, it was sort of like the universe turned off the cosmic tap. Like there was no download. I felt like I got put in a writer's timeout and some kind of like block where I was where that flow wasn't there. And on some level, I know it wasn't there because consultations was where I was supposed to go. And I know that I'll end up being back at writing, but by the same means, it gave me like a valuable lesson. I was more, they were trying to get me to use something that was sacred to match a market. And
Mhm.
creators don't do that. Healers don't do that. Like you're channeling something before it ever comes in. And I think that
Yeah.
the chart, like if you were to know your natal chart and understand that, like it would give you a lot of discernment in whatever you're trying to do, whether you're trying to get something out there for, thousands, millions of people to see, or you're just trying to like live your life and be in flow with your life, like be present with your family, be present with your whatever it is. Like you don't need to, like astrology is not necessarily like a tool to reach the masses, if that's what you're I mean, it could be. I think there's, like, a quote out there that says the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is an astrologer. Like, that's an old quote, but that's just because of timing and, knowing, like, even a biblical term, when to rest, and, like, there's a season for everything.
Right.
And that's something that our society today doesn't necessarily allow. It's getting better at it. It definitely wasn't there in Gen X, but it was go, 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 go. And, you sleep when you're dead kind of situation. And now we're starting to come back around to that and understand that we're not supposed to do that. But there is
Yeah.
a season where you are supposed to be the student. And there is a season where you're
Mhm.
supposed to be a teacher, whether that's on a stage or it's in your private life, just having a simple conversation with a close friend. Like that may be exactly what your purpose is for 3 years. Like that's what you're doing. But then all of a sudden, like you get put into a situation where you share something and it becomes like this waterfall of energy that takes you into a place that you can't ever imagine. Like, you can see that in the chart too, but
Yeah.
there's it's fascinating how it all blends together.
It is, and it's so deep, and, as you're speaking, I'm like, I'm actually feeling the energy, and I'm feeling like this lifting off. So even just this conversation about astrology is healing because it's enlightening people
Yeah.
who are watching, or maybe parts of me, who knows, that are going like, "Oh, yeah, I can breathe a little easier," and knowing that, like, I don't have to push so hard, and I can, like, find out a little bit more of me and how what works best for me and my seasons and my cycles, and really start working more towards that. And when I think of it that way, I'm like, wow, it really serves the whole in a whole different way. Um, and we are I said 30 minutes, but we're running over. Do you have extra time? Because I'd love to open it up for if anyone has a question that they would like to ask that we haven't covered, please use the chat and ask. I see Elaine Bishop. Elaine's here, and she's someone that has been through the years in my orbit. So it's nice to see you here, Elaine. Thanks for joining. But if anyone has anything that is of interest to them and would like to ask a question, go for it. We're here. But in the meantime, if someone wanted to work with you, how would they find you?
Absolutely. I would be very grateful to meet any and all of you. You would just need to go to the Southern Mystic, or you can find me here on Substack. But my website's called the Southern Mystic, and there's a couple of ways because I admit that I'm a shy person too. When I first stepped into astrology, so sometimes you don't want to be in a one-to-one consultation saying like, "Here's all my stuff." But when you inside of my little ecosystem, there is a membership, and in that membership, it's like less than $8 a month, but you would get access to this Google Calendar that has all of my astro notes and a little daily ritual with magic numbers on it. So you'll be able to open it up and say, okay, this is what's happening today. And I think Deborah used it like today. You're like, oh, I see your thing for today. So you have that, but that also gives you discounts on everything I offer at the Southern Mystic. And there's a lot of reports, and those are great for self study. And it's not where like you looked up your horoscope. We take your time of birth and we say, okay, this is whatever the report's topic is, whether it's a natal chart reading or transits, and you're able to kind of look at that individually. But I have readings too, and readings are consultations or where you and I can sit down. Now, if you're still shy, and we're gonna know how that is, and if you're busy in a different time zone, I have a lot of clients in different time zones. There is one where you can submit like a question, like, "Hey, Jamie, I'm looking at this, or I have this coming up," and then I'll take your birth information and I'll send you a recording back answering your question and/or questions, whatever can be answered in that block of time. And then there's 30-minute readings if you're just wanting a quick check-in, and then there's longer readings. So, yeah, there's definitely lots of ways that you could find and work with me through the Southern Mystic, and I get super excited to meet new people. And I love like I've had clients like for a long time too, so I love the family that I have over there of people to see how they grow through everything. Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. So, just no one's really asking any questions.
yeah.
How about just final thoughts around like the planetary lineup, and what can we be looking at or paying attention to as things keep moving around in the sky?
Oh my gosh, I don't know that I can do that with brevity, but I'll definitely try to do it. So
Meet my pose.
there's a lot of like we just kind of stepped into a lot of new energy with Saturn and Neptune officially moving into Aries and Uranus moving into Gemini, and that's all like a lot of astro talk. But what that tells us is those are outer planets that are bringing a different way of looking at things into our lives. We're learning where boundaries are, but also how to like trust faith but not get taken for a ride, like by certain people. But some energies that are coming up, like in coming months, that I would tell you guys to look for. I thought about this with the topic of the show is that we do have Chiron, which is an asteroid in the sky. It travels between Saturn and Uranus. It's moving into a new sign. It's moving into Taurus. We've been hanging out with it in Aries for a long time. I think it's like 7 years, but it will move in June 19th and it'll stay there till September. Then it's going to go back and wrap up some business. But with Chiron, Chiron in Aries has been about who am I? A lot of the things we talked about today, like identity wounds, survival, anger. Have we seen that out there? Courage, and learning how to exist without apology, which is always a little bit more challenging because then everyone's existing without apology, and then we have this clash. But Taurus is going to shift that when Chiron moves into Taurus. It's going to shift the conversations more towards what's stable, what do I value, which some of the things we talked about today. I value my time spending it this way. What's safe, how my body feels, the food, the quality of it, land and self-worth. Definitely who am I kind of questions, and collective conversations could be about food systems and farming and different ways that we can heal, and what is financially possible. So like these are that's a big one that's coming in June. We also have at the end of June, going into the first part of July, we have Jupiter moving into Leo for the first time in 12 years. So if you know your chart, take a peek at where the Leo house is, because that's going to be activated for you. And that July in general is going to be an interesting month because we have July. As soon as this outer planet moves in, it's going to have a beautiful fire energy over to where Neptune and Saturn is. And I know I'm getting down a little bit of the shop talk here, but basically inspiration and spirituality and really activating something for the first time, or even in the first time in a long time, is very
Mhm.
likely. And I think we'll feel a lot of big outside, and it'll feel like outside energies are almost quote unquote forcing us to make this, but basically our environment's going to change. And because our environment's changing, then we have to like react differently to that, whether that's personally or collectively. And an environment changing can be a very small thing or a big thing. Now, before we get to that, we have Mars who will, Mars is our courage and our drive and our motivation. And if you have some of us are really good friends with Mars, we're on Mars's team in our natal chart. Some of us are challenged by Mars at times. Like we're like, we don't want to use that energy, but Mars will move into Gemini at the very end of June. And almost immediately it squares off with the nodes of fate. So we're looking at patterns that don't work. We're looking at patterns that do work. And then it's going to crash right into Uranus. So you have this lightning bolt and this warrior coming together on July 4th in the US. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's terrible with all fireworks. And then
How
after
interesting.
And then after that, like that we sort of have all these different kinds of conversations that come through. So, but the thing about
Mhm.
Mars is that we always feel Mars on the incline. It's like I've been well, it's still now, but throughout most of this broadcast has been a thunderstorm here, and we always feel Mars come in like a rolling thunder. And by the time it claps, you're at the climax of it, and then you recede through it. And we're going to be feeling that moving all through June. But because of how what Mercury's doing in June, everything you do in June is going to be up for revision in July. But that's the more like right now energy. And there's, like I said, that's the best I could do with brevity. We could go on for hours about what's
Oh,
happening
no
now.
kidding. Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I think about is, like, I think was it towards the end of last year, Richard Rudd was talking about, you know, if you're building something this year coming up,
Yeah.
it's if you're building it in the old energy, like the old way of doing stuff, it's never going to take off the ground. And it's more about like learning the energy, the new earth energies or the new way of building it. And you're going to just take off. Maybe we'll have our challenges like we always do. But what I love is like everything you've pretty much said in this whole interview is like right towards that. It's like you're speaking into like these are the energies that are happening and this is what we're using to create. And so go ahead, create it, but be in alignment, right?
Yeah, authenticity. Yeah, I think that's a lot about where, because like Saturn is in Aries now, and it did take a peek in there last year and then kind of recessed, but Saturn has not been in Aries since the end of the 90s, like
Mm,
96, end of 96 going into 98, and then but it didn't have Neptune there. But Aries energy is all about like taking that leap of faith and understanding that I may not know where I'm going to land, but I'm going to trust my instincts. But if your instincts are very dull because you're looking outside of yourself, or if you're diluting your nervous system, it's going to be hard to trust that instinct. So that really goes into like you have to be more present and understand, okay, or noticing the signs or the synchronicities around you and feeling that full body yes, and feeling that that's not for me. I love that that's for you and you love being on that platform and you shine, but that's not for me. That you see what I'm saying? Like
totally.
that's
Yeah.
energy that we're in now.
Yeah, and I think, if we could do that, it would kinda stop a lot of that negative self-talk that we do or the self-beat up that we do
Yeah.
because, we look a lot outside of ourselves and the success of this person and measure it against ourselves. And, the fact is when you're seeing something really quick on a social media platform, you don't really know the behind the scenes,
No.
and it's all too easy to give yourself a false story. You have to keep coming back to
Yeah.
yourself, back to the interior. Yeah.
'Cause you're definitely, like, again, like, as I said at the beginning, you're on purpose and you're on time, and that comparative work, well, it's not gonna do anything for you. Yeah, you have to really run your own race, and when you do that, you will see just magic pop out of nowhere. Like, you'll be at a grocery store and somebody will just say something to you, like, "Hey, have you seen this before?" And you're like, it triggers something, and you start thinking about something else. Like, the entire universe conspires to lead you somewhere, and I know that sounds, like, very new agey, but don't knock it till you try it. Like, when you really
Well,
and you
that's actually old, like, it's, what's his first name? Wolfgang, like, Goethe has this whole, like it's one of my favorite, like, passages in all of his writing, and it talks about, like, "Do the thing now," and I'm totally paraphrasing, and once you decide and you start to do it, the whole of the universe conspires with you
yeah,
and comes on board with you,
yep.
and that's always inspired me, and, it's something I really, like, remember, and I love when you said that because it just made me really light up because, like, it really does, It may not go the way you think it's supposed to go, but that's where we have to let go a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that's where you have to stay curious, and that's very mercurial, like the Fool's card. If you stay curious, like, if everything's falling apart, like, "I wonder why that's falling apart. I wonder how we're gonna resolve this." Or, like, if you stay intrigued instead of, "No, I need to control this outcome," or, "No, I'm gonna disassociate with this outcome," or pretend it's not there. It's more like be curious and actively co-creating with what you're working
Mhm.
with. But as soon as you feel that spark, yeah, it's exactly what it feels like. Like,
Yeah,
and it won't stay forever. Like, it comes, it goes, it comes back and forth, but because sometimes we're supposed to rest and sometimes we're supposed to be engaged.
yeah,
Just
perfect, and I love too that, like, through this whole this whole interview, there was a thunderstorm happening in your
yeah,
background, so
we
you
needed the
brought the
rain.
thunder god in
Yeah,
and the lightning too.
it's definitely accented it, but yeah, absolutely. Well, it's
Awesome.
been a pleasure to be here, and I wanna thank everyone who is here. I see a couple of familiar
Yes.
and, yeah, yeah, y'all can definitely find me at the Southern Mystic, and Deborah, I'm always excited to talk to you, so
Awesome, awesome, and I just wanna say a huge thank you for all the information that you shared today so graciously, your wisdom, your insights, just freely shared with everyone here, and I wanna thank everyone for showing up for this first live Reimagine Reimagined.
yes.
Have a beautiful day, everyone, and, yeah, we'll see you in the ethers, I
Yeah,
suppose. Jamie,
yeah,
thanks once again, and, we'll stay
yeah,
in touch.
absolutely.
Alright,
I
bye.